Are you ready for your baby to sleep longer and more predictably, but you're not quite ready to commit to sleep training? This video is for you. In this video, we're going to talk about 4 ways to instantly improve your baby's sleep without sleep training. Basically, what we're doing is we're using association. In psychology, associations are repeated behaviors or activities that then instill an expectation. So you might have heard of Pavlov, like every time he'd ring a bell, he'd give his dog a treat. And he did it so often that it got to the point where he could just ring the bell and the dog would start salivating, expecting a treat. And his body was prepared for it. So that's what we're doing in this video. We are preparing our baby that when they see this thing or this thing happens, their body instantly responds by, oh, it's bedtime. I'm ready. Like, I'm more relaxed. My body's responding to this. It is time for me to go to sleep. Sleep training doesn't have to be crying, screaming, and isolation. It can be a time of bonding. It can be gentle. It can be responsive. It does not have to be painful in any way. So this actually is a form of sleep training, right? Because we are training our child to sleep, and we are training our child to learn when you are supposed to be asleep. But we're doing it in a way that is loving and responsive and is building on the stage of development that they're in, which is trust versus mistrust. We want them to trust us. We want them to know, I will respond to you. Because if you look at any animal in the wild, if their baby is crying, they are running to their baby to check what is wrong. If you see an animal and the baby is crying, and the mother is not responding to the cries of the baby, you are concerned about this mummy. You are wondering what is happening here. And I know that with sleep training, because I tried it, I tried the method that we find online, and it just felt wrong. It felt like I'm not supposed to leave my child screaming and crying, because we're not. It's not a normal pattern found in nature. So why do we feel like it is healthy or appropriate for human beings? Anyway, on this channel, you're not going to find me recommending you leave your baby crying in a room by themselves. So, just so you know. If you don't agree with me, that's okay. Put it in the comments. Let's talk about it. I'd love to dialogue on this. But we have other stuff to talk about too. The first association we want to make with our baby and bedtime is that bed is a safe, cozy, loving place. How do we establish this thought and this expectation in our baby? We cuddle. We read books, we play calm games in their sleeping space, whether they're sleeping in your bed or they have their own bed, they have their own room. You lay in the bed with them at least 3 times a day. So you can decide when that happens. It's nice to space it out in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. And having them establish this thought of, oh, bed is not a lonely place. We're building the thought and the expectation in our baby that their bed is a safe space to be in. That their bed is a place where they are cuddled by mommy and daddy. They are read books. They get to play with their toys. That it is a fun place to be. It's a nice space. And it's not just only sleep at this point. The next step in this is to encourage them to play by themselves and that they get used to being on their own in the bed. But this doesn't mean leave them and walk out of the room. You're laying in the bed with them, you're playing as well, you're reading a book, and then you hand them their toy or their book, and you get out of the bed and you sit next to it, and you just watch. And it can be a very gentle process. It doesn't have to be abrupt, doesn't have to be painful, doesn't have to be stressful. Just having you move out of that space to be beside it is already conditioning them to, I can linger in my bed. The minute I'm awake, I don't have to leave my bed, or I don't have to get up and start doing activities. I can stay here and I can have fun right here. Number 2 is a comfort object, whether it's a stuffy or a blanket or whatever it is. We want to have them feel comforted by this object. There's a simple way to do this, which is every time we go to sleep, we bring this this blanket with us. They don't play with it at any other time in the day, except for when we're feeding, whether they're bottle feeding or breastfeeding. You have that stuffy or that blanket and you put it between you two. so that when they're feeding, it gets your scent on it as well, but they start to think of this as a comforting object. I don't know if you have something like this where it's like, I have a certain coffee mug that I always take it when I'm feeling really just calm and happy. And then I notice that even when I'm not feeling that calm and happy, if I go to get that coffee mug to make my coffee, I feel better already. We adults, we do this as well. So we're just helping our child find this object that kind of lifts them a bit and calms them down and makes them feel comforted. The third is using a sleep sound. So this can be white noise, this can be rain, this can be the ocean, but it's setting up some sort of calming noise. We don't want classical music because that actually is stimulating and causes babies to become a little bit more alert. But just calm nature sounds, white noise, or you know what's actually kind of cool is that they have found ways to mimic the sound of the womb. And you can put that on a speaker so that your baby can be listening to this sound as they're preparing for sleep. And the last one is having a special word or a special song that is part of bedtime. And it could be the same song that you were raised with, or it could be a special sound that you only say when it's bedtime. And we don't use this sound when they're crying. So sometimes people use the word shh, but I've noticed with myself, if my kids get hurt and I'm holding them, I tend to go shh, to comfort them. So we don't want to use the word that we would use when they're crying when we're trying to get them to sleep. So finding that special sleep word that you want to use or that special sleep song, and we sing it every time we put them down for a nap or for their night sleep. I hope this has been helpful and has given you some ideas of how you can encourage your child to enjoy bedtime, enjoy sleeping without it being stressful to you or stressful to them. And if this has been helpful, will you just give it a like and a subscribe so I know you want more videos like this coming. Love ya! See you, pizza.